Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, whatever the doggone case it might be. Whew, I'm eating a phone without the middle of the road.
Roger, Adrian, very good. You're doing a fine job with 40 watts. We're running about 95 watts with a STDX10 Yaesu and a 3-element beam in your direction.
Welcome back to Fred in the Shed. You join me in a rather chilly February Radio Shack. We have a couple of new radios on the bench here sent in from Banggood for review. This rather attractive desktop model here is a TEF-based radio, and we'll be looking at that in a future video. Now, this video is all about this tiny, tiny pocket world band receiver. Now, if you're new to radio, welcome to the channel. If you don't know radios, it's quite remarkable that you can today buy this little tiny radio for £30 or less, and if you were to connect a wire, just a simple wire, to this gold connector on the radio, run it out 10 or 15 feet, you can receive radio stations from all around the world. And that's why I kind of said it was a spy radio in the thumbnail, because it just reminds me of something that's come out of the Cold War. For those of you that know your radios, well, this is running the popular SI4732 chip with the ESP32-3 controller. The same chips that you get in the ATS20 and the ATS20 Plus, but in a much, much smaller package. Now, this is, as I say, a world band receiver. It does have shortwave upper and lower sideband. So I want to do this radio justice, even though it is cheap, and I want to try and capture all of the bands and show the radio in operation. This will mean this video is going to be longer than a lot of the other videos that you will see on YouTube about this radio, and I do appreciate not all of you have got the time. So what I shall do, I shall list chapters in the description, and then if you haven't got the time, you can just zoom ahead and look at the bits that are relevant to you. But I hope you do end up watching the whole video, because I think it is a fascinating radio. It has a very, very powerful chip inside it, even though it is cheap. Compromised? Yeah, of course. For this price, there are some compromises. Do they still make the radio good value for money? Well, I don't know. Let's find out when we dig into this radio deeper in the review, and that's coming up now. Cheers, guys. We'll start with the unboxing, and there's not really an unboxing experience with this radio. Typical of Chinese products in this price segment, you get the device and a couple of plastic bags. And curiously, there is a very basic instruction guide, but it's stuck with adhesive on the lid of the box, which is unusual, so it's a good idea not to throw the box away. I mean, basically, to control the radio, it is one tunable clicky encoder, so everything's on the one control. A little bit interesting here, it says due to the compact size of the device, an earphone amplifier cannot be installed, therefore the volume output will be lower when headphones are inserted. This is a normal phenomenon. Achieve louder volume, it's recommended you connect to an external speaker. So that's a little bit interesting. We will test that later. Sounds like it's going to need a very sensitive pair of earphones. When it comes to the radio itself, let's get the elephant out of the room, and that concerns the radio's construction, because it is a very crude printed 3D case. Now, it's not the radio's best feature, and it's going to put a lot of people off, without a doubt. I suppose in favour to the manufacturer, they've tried to get this product on the market as quickly as possible. I think they know it's going to be a hot seller, and very much like a Kickstarter project, printing a case 3D is probably the cheapest way to go when they start. I imagine you've probably got to sell, I don't know, 10 or 15,000 of these radios before you can even afford, say, a ceramic mould for a printed case. Yeah, you've got to learn, and you've got to live with it. It is, as I say, it is very crude. I think that's supposed to spell radio up the side there. It's functional. It does the job. It looks fairly tough, but it is a very rough 3D printed case. When it comes to an antenna choice for the radio, there are two choices. I've gone for this rather nice circuit board type printed loop antenna. It's a wide band antenna, as you can see with the frequency there. And I think this will work quite well on FM, as well as it should pick up some of the stronger shortwave radio stations. If you don't want this version, you can get another version which has a simple SMA telescopic whip antenna, which is probably going to be better for FM, but I think in an outdoor environment this will be better for shortwave once you get over the shocking quality of that 3D case. A pleasant surprise is the screen on the radio. It's pretty big, 1.9 inches, got quite a high resolution, 170 by 320, and it's colour. Very, very sharp, very clear, and it's a joy to use. Definitely the highlight of the radio. Now, as I mentioned, there is only one control on the radio which operates the tuning and the menu system and everything, and that's that single clicky encoder. Feels quite tactile, feels quite good. I hope it's going to last. We've had problems with these before, but this one feels very, very, very firm. It is a little bit long. It does stick out quite a way on the radio, which is a little odd, because this is a sort of a radio that, because it's so small, you're going to want to put it into your pocket, but that would certainly end up digging into my leg. Other than that single rotary encoder, the only other switch on the radio is just on the side here, and that's a simple on-off switch. On top of the radio we find a USB-C for charging, and there is a very, very small little green LED in the bottom that lights up, and then a female SMA connector. On this side, 3.5mm headphone jack. As we've just read on the instructions, it's going to be a low output, unfortunately, but it is stereo. Back of the unit, a very, very small speaker grill and 4 screws. Speaker wise, it's sort of like a phone sized speaker. We'll have a listen to it in a moment, but to be fair, it does sound quite clear. We'll just go through some of the specs. So FM broadcast band. Medium wave has, I believe, 3 different settings for different countries, so that'll be your step rates and also the band spread. And then short wave, starting just above the medium wave band, going all the way up to just 1 kHz below 30 megs. So it is a wide band receiver. Also has upper and lower sideband. Lots of tuning steps that you can choose from. The lowest tuning step on shortwave is 1 kHz, but it does have a BFO for the fine clarification. Worth noting that on this version of the 4732 chip, there is no airband supported, and there is no North American weather band. We have an 800 mAh lithium-ion battery, and the runtime claims to be really long. It claims to do over 6 hours with normal use. Now, with just one control to get you through the menu systems on this radio and a very fast timeout, it does take a bit of practice to negotiate your way around the menu, but basically a single press takes you into all of your bands here. Medium wave, VHF. As I say, there's 3 different broadcast bands on the medium wave, and then your short wave is broken down into bands and different segments. You can just set it to all, and then you can manually go through and tune. Now, you saw there it has CB band. The CB band is AM and upper and lower sideband. Unfortunately, it does not support the FM for UK, but it is there. Now, the second menu, you need to do a very quick double press on the encoder. It takes a bit of practice, and then when you go into here, you can find your step rate, You can find the BFO for the shortwave, your bandwidth, the AGC and attenuation. Soft mute, you can control the soft mute. This is sort of the chuffing, which no one really likes. So we'll set that to 0 and we'll see if we can switch it off. I don't think on this chip, I don't think you can switch it off. I have tried before. Volume, of course, that's a bit of a pain. That is in the second menu, so you have to double click to access that. It would have been nice if they could have just fitted a volume control on the side, maybe in a future model. This is a very early model, of course, and as you can see, you do have to practice your double clicks to get into the menu system, but it's all there. It's a very powerful chip, and all the options are there once you're in. So I think we should just connect to the antenna now and try the FM. We can hear the speaker. Copyright. Now, considering this is a loop antenna, really more for medium wave and shortwave, it doesn't do too bad on FM. It will work better when I was outside. Now the radio does have RDS. It does need a strong signal though. I don't think I might not get it indoors here. But it was picking up RDS when I had the radio in the garden a little earlier. I think that little speaker, it's only a phone speaker, but it doesn't sound too bad. You're not going to listen to music on it, but
thing. I actually had a sort of theoretical thing, Mark, which was that I started to sort of be annoyed, not very, by the gaps in romantic movies. Yeah, montage of there.
It's also worth noting that when you reach the end of the broadcast band, it then goes straight into the lower part of the FM, and this is what I call the DX band, because with a decent outside antenna, you've got from 64 all the way up to, what, 88. So you can pick up some of the DX stations, which is quite good. Let's try the medium wave performance.
And now they're back. Putin is back in from the cold. He's talking to Trump. Russia's foreign minister is sitting around a table right now.
TalkSport with Zelco Builders Warehouse. Check stock at your local branch. We've got it at zelcobw.com.
I think one thing that's missing is maybe a tone switch or a tone control. That speaker could do with some low pass filtering really. It's quite hissy, and you notice that especially because it has the sort of chuffed soft muted tuning as well, which all radios have got these days. We've got some shortwave on it now. I've connected it to my outside antenna and it's receiving quite well. So I think we'll connect it to the camera and we'll have a little tune around, see what we get.
Ukrayna varada bağlasılan şartnamelerin hiçbirini ikrar etmeyeceklerini
Thank you for short QSOM 73 for now. London Yankee Bene, poi stiamo vedendo l'uscita del tuo amplificatore con 10 vatti quando si moltiplicano, quando sono... So, Oscar, November 3, Oscar, Mike Delta, thank you very much.
We've seen about 300 students on that. I was rather hoping to have some students there in terms of there were 3 that should have turned up and would have had an opportunity to operate the radio. We were running a special event call anyway, a club call, so that was all doable. But I had a friend of mine popped along who's also a member of the club and hadn't been to that particular venue before. They speak too quickly, they rather mumble into the microphone and it just doesn't come across as it should.
Whiskey 2 Bravo Zulu Lima, Italy Whiskey 2 Bravo Zulu Lima. Go on, then we come Whiskey Charlie Tango Bravo.
The name here is Jose, Juliet, Oscar, Sierra Echo, Jose. Thank you, Graham, 73. Okay, bye-bye, Delta Lima 1, November, Kilowatt Sugar. 59, Stefan.
So, nice to work you here on 10 today. I'm running here about a kilowatt. The antenna, the same equipment, the 12 element low periodic with about...
You say you're going 10-7. No, real black man, I think I know why. The lead is sitting back there reading the mail. But they don't want their name in the book. Now, painkiller got there. Put there. They don't want to be in the book of shame. Put it on your latest stovepipe. I'm going to let ACC go now, stovepipe. Good time anyway. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever the doggone case it might be. Whew, I'm going to eat a phone without the middle of the road.
You said you West 9311 Berry.
I'm on the backside of Atlanta, Georgia, downtown Conyers, Georgia. Downtown Conyers, Georgia, there, 10 pounds.
Hey, Sam, man, this cat making dub.
Oh, yeah, around Montreal, Quebec, where are you?
Roll down, baby.
All right, then. Around St. John, up around that way. All right, then. Whew. I'm trying to think, well, it's been so long since I've been up in Canada. I think I went up there a couple of times, just a couple of times. Out of, I think it was up through Buffalo there. But anyway.
Canada, around the city of St. John. And I appreciate you calling in. It's nice to meet you for the first time, Alan. Congratulations on the station. You sound terrific. Into the state of Massachusetts. Listen for your final with 73s. Mike 7.
Conclusion time then. What do we think? This tiny little spy radio. Well, let's get the negatives out of the way first. The menu system, how you enter it with that double click on the encoder, is a bit frustrating. It does take precision timing to get into the menu system, and then when you're in there, it times out too quickly. Also, you have to go into it every time that you want to use the BFO or the scan feature. That could be fixed very easily with a firmware update. One thing they can't fix though is the lack of a headphone amplifier. With normal music headphones that aren't all that sensitive, it is quiet on headphones. It does improve if you use, say, earbuds or something, say 32 ohm earbuds. It does improve, but it still is. It's too quiet for me. It still is too quiet. That's a bit of a shame, really. As we mentioned, the case is 3D printed. That could be a little bit better. Thankfully, though, the tiny little speaker that you have in the back of this sounds quite good, and it goes quite loud with the speaker, so you don't necessarily need headphones. So that's the negatives out of the way, but then we come down to the positives, and there are plenty of positives with this radio. Now, the little loop antenna is fine for FM and medium wave. Didn't really get much shortwave out of this. Again, you probably need to maybe wait to certain times of the day. But the radio absolutely sang when I connected it to an outside antenna. And I only connected it to my CB antenna, which isn't tuned really for shortwave or any of the ham bands. But it proved to be very, very, very sensitive and quite selective as well. Even on shortwave, there was no ghost cross modulation coming across. Really, really, really clear. And the screen as well. They've done a lovely job with the screen. Very, very clear, colour screen. Even the little signal meter is responsive. It works. Sometimes it's just a gimmick, but on this one it really works, and it sounds really good, as you hopefully come across on the video there. When that was connected to my camera, at least, it sounded really, really good. So it's amazing that 6 months ago you couldn't get something like this small, fits in your pocket, that receives all of those bands and receives it quite well. And then there's the price, of course. £30 or less is really cheap. I mean, let's be honest about it. I've spent that on a lunch before, and I've had a lot of fun with this over the last few days for 30 quid. I think it's a really good little gadget. Little bit gimmick, yes, sure, it is a bit of a gimmick, but even though with the shortcomings, I still want it. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things that you see it and you think, I really want that. So there it is. Really, really nice little gadget. I had great fun with it. As always, there are links to Banggood in the description. I do get a little discount from Banggood as well to bring the price down. That will be in the description. It won't last forever, so if you're thinking about getting one of these, and get one maybe sooner than later, because also it's taken me about 3 attempts to get one of these in the shack, because it's sold out. As soon as they get stock, it's sold out. It's that popular at the moment. It's a must-have little radio. So that's in the description. Now, just before I go, if maybe this is taking it too far, being a small form factor and tiny little controls, don't forget you have the ATS 20 Plus, this little radio, also available from Banggood, and I'll link that in the description as well. And although it hasn't got all of the features of the spy radio, such as the scan and a few of the other features, because this has the older chip, this has the SI4732 chip, and that's got the 3.5 chip. But with the ATS 20 Plus, it does have buttons for all of the controls. It has a much larger and also improved encoder. The original encoder on the ATS 20 wasn't particularly great. The screen, yeah, it's a single colour screen. It's tiny. It's nowhere near as good as that radio. But as I say, this might be something, if you're thinking of radios for you. It has a large speaker. I think it's about a 3-inch speaker. Metal case as well. So yeah, if this one is going a bit too far, then maybe, as I say, check out this one. I did do a full review on this. I'll link that in the description as well. You can go away. About the same price, just £30 or just below £30. So maybe that one might be for you. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for tuning in to Fred in the Shed. A thumbs up from me before you go. If you get a second before you go, hit me a thumbs up down below. I would appreciate it. But as for now, as always, cheers, cheers, cheers. Stay safe, and of course, I'll catch you all on the next one. Cheers, guys.
Fred's in the shed where the magic unfolds. Fred in the shed with his trusty CB. He's a friend to the lonely on a frequency.